Temtem's latest update brought forth various changes to the way Pansuns are earned, the way Lumas are obtained. We got access to our very first digital type Temtem, fishing, dojo leader rematches, a new telomere hack, instant egg hatching, loot pools, and more. This video is going to act as a complete overview of each of Temtem's new features, and subsequently after watching this you'll have a greater knowledge of the new update. That being said, sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. Okay, so firstly let's talk about free Tem, aka catching and releasing Temtem. Free Tem rewards are no longer infinite and will cap out at the final reward tier. So let's say at 600 releases, you'll get like a hat or something. Your 601st release won't net you any money anymore. Crema does state that free Tem was never meant to be the main money-making method in the game and that only 5% of people actually reach the final goal. With that in mind, they've also added other avenues to earn Pansun that in my opinion are more enjoyable. So the first new money-making method involves you delivering food packages from the Yurhu post office. To activate this, just go to the post office and accept. Essentially, it's like a daily quest. You'll have to deliver to a different person each day and you'll receive a small amount of Pansun for your trouble. It's not a crazy amount, but it does range and give you, from what I've got so far, something in the 3 digits. Another new way to make money is to face off against previously defeated dojo masters, and you could also potentially get a radar from defeating them. I will touch on this later, but you can also check out this video to get an in-depth guide on how these radars work and how to increase your Luma odds substantially. Anyways, each dojo master will give you a varying amount of Pansuns, which get reduced each attempt it takes to defeat them, so of course to maximize your profit, you're going to want to beat them on your first try. They've also added fishing, which subsequently comes with a brand new Temtem named Koish. Now this is a unique water type Temtem that can have a dual typing that pulls from any of the other types, so it'll always be water plus type number 2. The Niru Lodge will have a different form of it each week, and this week it's water and digital, so essentially this is the first digital Temtem ever to be available. To obtain the fishing rod, you simply have to talk to the person at the Niru Lodge counter, then head over to Yurhu and meet Petter, and he'll give you his fishing rod. Fishing is quite simple. You just hit the action button, or if it's on an Xbox controller, for example, you just hit the A button. You have to be in front of a body of water, and then the fishing spot will glow. You just press A or X or whatever each time it glows for a total of 3 times, then you'll end up in an encounter. In the Niru Lodge, they'll have a Koish for you to try to catch, and each week there'll be a new one on the board and you'll have to try to match it. You can either get a complete match or a partial match, with 4 characteristics being the minimum, and by the looks of it, given the fact that Koish has over 10,000 different possibilities, it's not the easiest task. However, upon completing the quest, you'll likely get some type of reward from the new loot system we'll be mentioning shortly, and you could also potentially get a Wishy Well coin, which can be thrown into one of various wells scattered across the archipelago. Doing so will reward you with different drops, which admittedly I haven't been able to quite mess around with just yet due to the random nature of Koish farming. They've also added a new telomere hack to the game called a trait swap, which does exactly what you think it would. My assumption is that this will end up being a free Tem reward once the new configuration drops. Another new item is called pheromones, which can greatly increase the chances of encountering specific Temtems. These pheromones will be specific to a certain line by the looks of it. They've also added something called a pro incubator. So basically you can get these tickets for the incubator and put an egg in it and it'll hatch it instantly. So my recommendation is to save the tickets for Tems with the highest timer counts. I personally got my first 2 tickets from the post office, but I'm assuming the wells and perhaps even the fishing can also net these as well. Furthermore, they've added something called an egg technique course, which are consumables that don't last forever. They can drop from some of the aforementioned activities and will be able to teach a Temtem a certain egg move without them having to actually breed for it. This will be pretty useful for if you get in a scenario where you bred a Temtem, it has 7 SVs, and now a new egg move just got released for it that's competitively viable, and you need to add it without having to rebreed everything. You will lose fertility for doing this though. Okay, so the new loot system we talked about isn't 100% particularly clear as to when exactly it's activated, whether it's solely for Wishy Well coins or for fishing or for the post system or whatever, but essentially it's the idea that the player will get random drops from a larger pool rather than constant lower drops. The quest diary is also finally in the game, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but basically you can switch between active quests and you can finally see what quests you have pending, so that's definitely nice. Okay, so last but not least are the radars, which we did do a full video guide on, like I mentioned, but essentially from defeating dojo masters you have a chance to gain a radar. Up to 3 per week. This week I hadn't gotten any from Rauri or the Crystal Dojo Master, so my assumption is that they'll either swap which dojo masters can drop them, or that the game just predetermines it for individual players, but either way, it's a maximum of 3 out of the 5 that will drop them. What these radars do is that they're specific to certain Temtem and will allow you to chain for better SV odds and Luma odds for that line. Once again, for more information on this system, definitely check out yesterday's video on the topic, as it's quite interesting. Now, this update brought forth some minor changes as well, like fertility not dropping unless the Tem's got 49 in a stat rather than 45, which is minor in hindsight, but to a breeder it's huge. We've also seen that items in the bag are now alphabetically stored, there's a new pocket for DNA strands in your backpack, and some other minor fixes. Now, the biggest change that I think most people are going to find controversial is the change to the Luma odds, which was previously 1 in 8,000, but has been changed to 1 in 10,000. Now, depending on how serious you are with Luma hunting, this could either be a good thing or a bad thing, because if you're a casual Luma hunter, you might be happy with the radars, because the radars actually give you up to a 1 in 1,000 chance, albeit only for a certain amount of encounters. Whereas if you're a more serious Luma hunter, you might want to go into the grass and try to get a Luma that you're specifically looking for, and you don't want to deal with the randomness of the radars. So it's definitely like a to each their own type thing on that front. Anyways, with all that being said, that's the gist of the newest update. Definitely let me know if there's anything you guys would like me to expand on in a separate video. Temtem Sipanku update will likely drop early next year, so we'll definitely have a ton of fun with that. But until then, at least if you're waiting for the next content update before you really get into it again, you can hop on once a week, try to grab some Lumas with the radars, maybe get some money from the dojo masters, try your luck out with fishing, etc. So I'm pretty happy with this update overall, and I'm looking forward to Sipanku. But with that being said, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more monster taming content. Check out my Twitter, Discord, and Patreon, all links in the description. Until next time, peace.